In this video, we're going to be covering the features and enhancements in our Point of Sale August 2024 release. First, I'll put up our housekeeping and legal disclaimer and give you a few moments to read through that before we proceed with the presentation today. Moving over to our enhancements, starting with the borrower dashboard, we've updated the user interface on both the mobile and desktop version of the Point of Sale. We've updated the loan number to display the subject property when applicable in the borrower dashboard. We've enabled the ability for borrowers to upload password-encrypted documents. We've included an opt-in to receive informational text and also included an unsubscribe from email request and reminders option for the borrowers in the borrower dashboard. For the admin site, we've added the loan term configuration. We've also added a alert Loan Originator when interviews are abandoned or for unfinished loan applications. We've added the ability for admins to add company logos to the company main website. We've updated the social media icons in the email signature. FormFree has made a name change to Informative Research, so we've updated that verbiage. We've also set a start date when enabling reminders. For the company site, we've updated the language selection icon. For the loan interview, we've added new fields for county for the subject property address and country for the previous address for the borrower and co-borrower. For the REO section, we've included the primary residence for current and the intended occupancy questions. We've expanded the assets to 15 total, which used to be 4. We've included an interview pre-population for borrowers who have completed an application in the past. And we've also updated the TCPA statement on the loan interview. For the loan summary, we now display those additional collected assets, which will be 15. And we've also updated the font for ADA compliance. And then lastly, for the lead invite and VOA invite, we've applied a memo to borrower to email notifications. Starting with our first enhancement, we've updated the borrower dashboard user interface. In the old one, which is what you're currently looking at now, the user account settings for the borrowers were set up a little bit differently, but the newer one is set up like this. The goal for this one was to mirror the look of the Zenly user interface. As you can see, the blue bar across the top of the screen and the layout is consistent with the Zenly user interface experience. And for the next update, the design behind this is to change it from the loan number to the subject property address. That just makes more sense for the borrower to view when they're inside the borrower dashboard looking through their different transactions. Instead of seeing a random string of loan numbers, the borrower can now visually see the subject property so they know exactly what property this loan interview is for. What's most important to the borrower is that they can see and determine which transaction they are looking at is related to the subject property. That way, when the borrower logs in, they can see that these are the document requests and e-disclosure packages for this subject property. So this was implemented for a better user experience. And for our next enhancement, which is the document upload. So this borrower dashboard enhancement is not just for the dashboard, but for the document requests at the end of the interview and documents uploaded without a borrower dashboard account. We did enable the ability for the borrowers to upload PDFs and documents that are password protected. So if they're password protected, then the uploads file dialog box will prompt them to enter in their password for the encrypted document. That way they can type that in, save it, and upload it. And for the last enhancements for the borrower dashboard, we've added the opt-in and unsubscribe options. So now within the borrower dashboard in the borrower's profile, they have the opt-in checkbox as well as the unsubscribe checkbox. And these two will control the types of notifications that the borrower will receive based on their preferences. The top one is meant for opting out to receiving text messages. The bottom one is to unsubscribe from email requests and reminders. All right, so moving over to our point of sale admin site enhancements, starting with the configuration for loan term. We've now added the configuration for loan terms underneath the configuration tab of the point of sale admin site. So as you can see, I do now have a loan term checkbox. If I were to click edit on this now gives the admin the ability to show up to 10 loan terms for the borrower to choose from on the online application. So you're no longer forced to display the 40-year term if that's not a term that you use for your company. So I could uncheck the 40-year term if it's not one that I use. Let's say I use a 35-year term instead. What I could then do is click on the add option. That will allow me to come down and enter in a term manually. Now let's say I wanted my 35-year term to be listed at the top. You do have the ability to drag and drop these terms in the order in which you want them to display in the drop downs for your borrowers. Now, let's say that you wanted to load the original loan terms back on the screen that were here before we made any changes. You would simply click on the load default button, and that will reset the loan terms to the defaulted list of loan terms that we originally saw when we opened up this section. All right, and for the next enhancement, and that will be for the Alert Loan Originator. We have now given the ability to alert the loan originator with the incomplete loan interview reminders. Previously, you could remind the borrowers if they stopped the interview and set up a POS account or a borrower dashboard to save and continue the loan later. Then we will be able to fire off reminders for that borrower. Now the loan originator will be CC'd on the reminders that the borrower gets as well. When enabled, it will alert the loan originator when interviews are abandoned. The borrower still have to create a borrower dashboard for the alert feature to work. The loan originator does not have to create a borrower dashboard, but will not receive any alerts if the borrower has not created a dashboard, as the borrower would not be receiving any automatic reminders without a borrower dashboard. What we've also done with the reminder feature is to make sure to set a start date for using the reminder text at the time that you enable that feature. Therefore, it will not go back and remind borrowers of items that were on their to-do list from the past. All right, so the next enhancement is going to be on the company main website. And if we scroll down to the bottom of this screen where we can edit our company main, we've now added the ability for the admin to add 2 logos to the company main website, as they can currently do on the individual LO landing pages. And for our next enhancement under the Edit Emails tab, if we scroll down to the very bottom, this is where we're able to add our email signature from the automatic emails that the point of sale sends out. And what we did here is make sure that all of our social media logos were up to date, mainly being X, formerly known as Twitter, but also Reddit, as well as Snapchat and Telegram. And for the next enhancement for our VOA settings, you'll find this under the VOA settings tab in the navigation panel. So for this one, FormFree has submitted an account change form for a name change. They now go by account check by informative research. So we've updated that verbiage on this screen, as well as updated the privacy policy and terms of service documents with this verbiage as well. All right, so moving on to our next item, we do have one enhancement for the POS admin site. And this enhancement is for the language selection icon. This was updated on both the company main and the LO landing pages. This used to be a globe icon, but some customers weren't recognizing the globe as meaning language selection. So we've updated that icon to the AZ icon you see now. All right, so moving over to the next set of enhancements, and these enhancements were made to the loan interview itself. The first one is we've added some new fields. These are new fields to the loan interview. So in order to make mapping happen and to make sure that we were in compliance, we've made these fields available on the loan interview. The first field would be the county for the subject property address. And the second would be a new field for country for the previous address for the borrower and co-borrower on the loan interview. Now for our next enhancement on the loan interview, this would be in the REO section of the real estate owned. We've added the primary residence as an option to select, which wasn't an option on these screens before. And for our next enhancement on the loan interview, the I agree to checkbox is no longer required to continue the loan application. Now it is optional. So the borrower does not have to agree to continue the loan application. However, if they check the box, it will send an email to the LO letting them know a borrower has started the application, but it doesn't mean that they have finished the application. We have also updated the statement on the screen to comply with the TCPA statement. So this was for compliance reasons, and the statement is hard-coded and cannot be edited. For the next enhancement on the loan interview, we've updated the financial section with the number of assets. So originally you could only enter in 4 assets in this section that were able to be applied in the interview, and that included for both the borrower and the co-borrower. So we've expanded this section to capture up to 15 assets between the borrower and co-borrowers. So as you can see on my screen, I've added more than 4 assets, and I could continue to add up to 15 assets as well. Also with that, the loan summary has been updated to make sure that it does capture all 15 assets that are now able to be populated on this screen. On to our next enhancement for the loan interview is the ability to pre-populate an application. The thought process is if the borrower has completed an interview in the past, and if Zip still has the data handy, and if they have started another loan interview, we should go ahead and populate a number of the screens with their info, so the borrowers can skip past a few sections to make completing the loan process faster for the borrowers. And those screens would include all of the contact information, your current mailing address information, and the 3 personal screens with contact information, including your citizenship, marital status, and number of dependents. And for the last enhancement, which would be the memo to borrower that we've added to the VOA invite, when you send a VOA invite, there's a memo to the borrower that you can put in the invite. What we've done now is included that in the body of the email and added it as a merge field under the edit email section. So the default is what you'll see here, which is where we put it right above the get started hyperlink. And since this is a new addition, in order to see the new field, which is comment, you would have to hit the load default to see the new item. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact our dedicated customer service at calixdcs@calixsoftware.com.